So here we are, day one with actually wrapping the car. If you missed the other videos, I spent 2 to 3 videos just preparing the car, and those 2 to 3 videos were about 2 to 3 weeks of preparation. So it was like sanding, filling, sanding, primer, sanding, gloss, all that good stuff. So I'll link it, I think, right here. If you want to check it out. Anyways, the time has come, so I went through several reds just to do a test. It was like a Via Corsa red, a racing red, a metal red, and I ended up going with this one called Candy Apple. It's an ultra gloss, vivid brand, candy red. That's what it was called, candy red. So I ordered a test panel, and the test panel actually was big enough to put on the rear deck. So once I did that, it was like love at first sight. Let's check it out. So I had replaced the shocks, or the struts on my rear deck, my rear hatch, and they're so powerful that I'm worried that once you pop the button, it's going to open with so much force, it's going to rip the hatchback right off. So when I pop that button, I usually run around to the back to catch it and slow it down a little bit. I'm running out of tape because my mom used my tape to build a house out of a shoebox for a mouse that was found in our house. It's hard to tell in this video, but it is just this most gorgeous candy red gloss, and it's got little metal flake pieces. I'll zoom in a bit. This is the exact panel as it came. It could not have been a more perfect size. And not a lot of stretching, not a lot of heating. It's just laying it out and squeegeeing out the bubbles. It's a perfect panel to get back into wrapping with. And you could already see that gloss. What I love about this wrap, and it was a lot different from like the matte colors that I've worked with, is it has a, they call it a cap. So it has this clear film, like almost like saran wrap on top of the wrap, so it protects it throughout the application process. And you can heat it to death, you can beat it up. This thing, trust me, this takes a beating. And I've tried some Avery wraps, I've tried 3M wraps, and some say that Vivid is not as like stretchy and pliable, and it's a little bit more difficult to work with. And I like that fact. It just feels more durable. It might be a little bit easier, harder to work with because it's not as stretchy, but I kind of like it like that. But also, like, my skill is still limited. This is, I'm no pro by any shape or form. But it just wraps around so nicely. Always make sure that you've got a sharp blade. Sometimes I get lazy and I don't replace my blade with every panel, and it bites me in the butt every single time by snagging the wrap. So that's like number one when you're preparing to wrap. Get your tools, make sure everything's accessible and close by for easy reach, and make sure that you're starting with a brand new sharp blade. The reason that I tape off the window and the other seams is it's easier to cut away and tuck in the excess wrap when it's not sticking to a shiny surface. So that's why I put this like big strip of tape here. Just makes tucking it a lot easier. And of course, another thing that I've learned throughout wrapping my other vehicle was post-heat. You gotta post-heat it really thoroughly. It just, especially if the car's gonna be parked outside, it helps prevent like air bubbles and stuff from popping up. wish you guys could hear the sound, but it's this like wonderfully rewarding saran wrap peeling sound, and it reveals this just perfectly amazing glossy candy red color. Another reason I love this color is it hides so much. Even the little imperfections that I wasn't able to cover completely when I was doing my prep, this stuff camouflages incredibly well. A lot of the regular glossy film, especially the black, showed everything. The black actually like made orange peel come out of nowhere. It looked like a bad paint job. It looked cool, but it looked like a bad paint job. So look at this. It looks flawless. I mean, this panel pretty much was flawless. It set the stage for how I want to wrap the rest of the car, although I knew challenges were waiting for me. So I had decided to go with the candy red. I ordered it that day that I saw how gorgeous that rear deck looked, and it was on back order, so I had to wait 2 weeks for it to come back in stock. During those 2 weeks, I decided to redo the audio of my Mustang. Another link in case you're interested, but I couldn't wait to get back to my Camaro, and I think a lot of you were like, where'd the Camaro go? But yeah, I had to wait for the wrap because it was poor planning on my part. But when the wrap came... Okay, I'm back at the Camaro. I'm ready to start wrapping it. Taking a break from the Mustang interior now that I got the sound audio all done, and working back on my baby. Let's go. Oh my god, this is the largest roll of wrap that I've ever received. And even though it doesn't look like it, trust me, my floor, I did clean it and vacuum it. And again, the wrap has a protective layer on it, so I'm not worried about it getting dirty. I'm more worried about not under measuring or exorbitantly over measuring and wasting this expensive wrap. So I'm gonna do the bumper in 2 pieces, which is why I'm cutting it in. So since I'm going to be doing the bumper in 2 pieces, I'm using this knifeless tape to just section off where I want that seam to be. I learned from a few videos, and I also learned from experience, that you work your way up. So if you're going to do several pieces, start from the bottom, and then that way each piece that you add will overlay on top of the bottom piece, and it just makes for a cleaner seam. And visually, it's a little bit harder to see the seam that way. I purposely was wrapping this with my car pulled out of the garage because I wanted the sun to kind of make this wrap a little bit more malleable, so I didn't have to like spot heat it up so much. So the sun really helped to, allow me to stretch this properly over the rear bumper. There is this little indentation that runs across the back of the bumper, and it's just this long, rectangular indentation, and I could not get the wrap to lay properly in that indentation, so it just kept wanting to pop out, and it wasn't deep enough where I could like heat it and successfully get it to lay in there. You'll see in a little bit, I end up actually cutting the square out and laying a little overlay in it. I think it was the best option for the time. And again, like, we're not going for like show car perfection. We are going for a vast improvement and just, being happy with it. So this is the indentation that I was talking about. I just can't get it in there, but it's okay. Okay, stage 1. I learned that you can really heat this stuff up. You can scorch the crap out of it to actually get it to stop from peeling up underneath and in corners. So, you know, I was worried that it wasn't going to really stick to the underside, and I torched it, and it's like, it's on there. It feels like it's part of the plastic. Well, it probably is part of the plastic. I heated it up so much. The wrap is one with the bumper now, and I'm fine with that. So you can see why I had to do this in 2 pieces. I would not have been able to stretch the wrap to sit flush on the upper area because it's such a steep angle that all of a sudden goes in. I don't know how I'm probably not explaining that right, but like, basically if the bumper's like this, you've got all this wrap coming up here. When you turn it this way and it's wrapping around, you end up with a lot of extra wrap. If it's not making sense to you, it's not making sense to me either. This is just a dream. Ignore and erase what I was trying to tell you. This is that little indentation that I was telling you about, so I had to cut this out and lay a piece over it. Just could not get that stuff to stick in there. I should have cut more out so there's like less bulky stuff under it, but I can always redo it. I tell myself that. I always tell myself I can redo it. I'm not gonna redo it. I'm never gonna redo it. I mean, it would take something really bad to happen for me to have to redo it. Once I'm done with the panel, I don't ever want to redo that panel again. But I tell myself, I can redo it. Will it help me redo it? Someone asked me, why don't I just buy new badges? Well, the badges, it's like, you don't want to buy new badges. First of all, the badges are hella expensive. I looked up the badges one day because I was like, oh, buy new badges. I think I could, like, if I added up all the badges, I could buy like a supercharger or something. Probably like not that extreme, but they're expensive. And I wanted to like keep the old badges, like it's like the original badges that the car came with, you know, like your badges of honor, like your medals. So I carefully taped around them, and then I carefully cut around them. And if you look closely, yes, you'll see imperfections. If anybody comes step into my car and looks that closely at little areas, I think there's going to be a problem. I mean, when I went to the most recent Fuel Fest and I saw all these wrapped cars, I definitely used it to, I used it as an opportunity to see what other wrap looked like. I was on my hands and knees. I was zooming in. I had my magnifying glass out. I wanted to see every imperfection on these wraps, and these wraps would look so stunning from afar. And then as I'd zoom in, I'd be like, wee. It was like extra piece here, sliver here. This piece is missing wrap, and there was nothing wrong with that. It just made me feel better about like my skill level, because these wraps were like, they were professionally done. They were nice wraps. And still, like those hard areas like the bumper and stuff, sometimes you just can't avoid it. So it did make me feel better about my beginner skill level. So the top area is a little bit trickier because you want to lay it down flat instead of vertically. So it almost like hugs the entire rear deck. But I was having such a great time with this, you know? It was like I could envision the whole car being done. You know, when I start off a job, when I first went out here, I was like, I'll do the bumper, I'll do some quarter panels. And, you know, by 4 o'clock, I've put like 3-4 hours into a single panel, and I'm like physically exhausted. Like I'm mentally exhausted too, but you know, it's like holding the wrap and holding the heat gun, and then this motion. I don't know how my arm is not like, how do I not have like a nicer arm? You know, all this stuff. Like I've worked out in my life. I don't really work out anymore, but like I do a lot of activity with my arms, and still, like, if you hand me like the salt shaker and I go to salt my food, like how? Like, I just don't salt food in public. Well, I don't leave my house. I got so many compliments from my neighbors too. People walking by, passerbyers, women, children, you name it. They were like, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, this looks so good. And I was like, oh my god, thank you. I think so too. You should see it when it's done. You want me to wrap your car too? I need the content. Bring it in. Has to have a nice clean body though, because I cannot do this prep again. Ooh. And there it comes off. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I'm so proud of this. Obviously I wanted to wrap as much as I could where, you know, underneath where the headlights will go and everything, but most of it is going to be covered by headlights and license plates and lights, so you know, I don't have to go crazy with all that. Oh, and now that satisfying moment. It's like, you know, you open the oven and you take out your cake and you take a bite for the first time. Just kidding. So this was one little area where I didn't overlap it. I don't know what I did, but I made a little boo-boo and I fixed it with a little piece. And again, unless you like come looking with a magnifying glass or some really strong reading glasses, you probably won't even notice. Everybody that I showed it to was like, I didn't notice. Maybe they were just being nice. I don't think so. My one neighbor in the neighborhood likes to point out like every single flaw. He'll be standing a mile away and he'll be like, oh, that's that you did that wrong. Okay, day one on the bumper wrap. I'm kind of happy that I started off with something a little bit more challenging. The other panels, they're not going to be as bad until I get to the front. I guess the hardest part was just kind of getting the stuff into the crease here, and then I goofed up on the other side. Right here, I goofed up on this side, and ordinarily, or before I was like doing this a little bit longer, I would have probably redone the whole piece. But you know what? I don't stress out about it anymore. I added this little just a little piece of patch to go over it. Actually, it looks worse on video than it does in person, and I'm fine with that. Again, not going for perfection, but a vast improvement for sure. So I'm happy with it. And my Camaro's happy too. Great pleasure in peeling off the tape. This is what it feels like. Not that I've had a surgery like this, I really haven't, but you know, I imagine like you got in like an accident and you know your face got hurt or a body part got hurt and you went to the hospital or like the plastic surgeon and they fixed you and you've got like bandages. Like imagine like the Twilight Zone, right? And then they take off the bandages and you look in the mirror. That's what I felt like I was doing for my car. It's like, I removed your bandages, do you want to see how you look now? And the car was like, oh my god, thank you so much, you've changed my life. And I'm like, oh, my pleasure, thank you. Clearly I'm really excited about this wrap. I mean, excited doesn't cut it. So thank you so much for watching this first part. I've got all the parts ready to start piecing together. I can't wait to post pictures of the final product. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!